Most content creators won't talk about this because they're afraid of being demonetized, or worse, they're afraid of being judged. But if we keep ignoring the invisible barrier in female intimacy, we're leaving millions of women to feel broken, isolated, and deeply confused about their own bodies. Hi, I'm Lena. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a radical truth about how women actually experience connection and why the advice you're seeing on social media is actually making the problem worse. By the end of this video, you're going to understand the biological and psychological mismatch that causes so many relationships to go cold. If you've ever felt like your pilot light has just gone out, or like you're performing rather than feeling, this is for you. We're going beyond the surface-level tips and diving into the science of why your brain might be blocking your body. Let's be real for a second. We live in a world that treats female intimacy like a light switch. You are expected to be a career powerhouse all day, a perfect parent or partner all evening, and then, click, suddenly you're supposed to be fully present the moment you hit the bedroom. But here is the radical truth. For many women, intimacy isn't a switch. It is a slow-burning furnace. The mistake most creators make is focusing on tactics. They talk about spicing things up or buying new products, but they are ignoring the mental load. If your brain is still processing the 47 tasks you didn't finish today, your nervous system remains in a state of defense. In the world of biology, you cannot be in a state of defense and a state of connection at the same time. This is why you feel numb or checked out. It is not that you're broken, it's that your brain is doing its job. It is protecting you from extrasensory input when it thinks you are already overwhelmed. This brings us to the biggest myth in modern dating. We've been taught that real desire is always spontaneous. You know the movie version. You see someone, and boom, you're ready. But research shows that while many people experience spontaneous desire, a huge percentage of women experience what we call responsive desire. This means the wanting doesn't always come before the activity. It comes during. Think of it like a party you didn't want to go to. You're tired, you'd rather stay on the couch, but your friend drags you there. 10 minutes after arriving, you're actually having a great time. You didn't want to go, but you wanted to stay once the environment changed. The radical truth creators avoid is this: waiting for the mood to strike is the fastest way to kill a long-term relationship. If you are a responsive desire person, the mood might never just show up at the front door. You have to create the environment for it to grow. Now, I want to talk about something called the dual control model. This is the key to unlocking a deeper understanding of your body. Imagine your libido has an accelerator and a brake. Most advice tells you how to hit the accelerator, sense, music, or atmosphere. But if your foot is slammed on the brake, the accelerator doesn't matter. You're just burning out the engine. What are the brakes for women? Stress is the biggest one. High cortisol levels literally shut down the reproductive drive. Then there is body image. If you're criticizing your reflection in your head, your brain signals judgment, which hits the brake. There is also unresolved conflict. If you're annoyed that your partner didn't show up for you earlier in the day, that's a brake. The radical shift is to stop looking for new accelerators and start looking for what is hitting your brakes. High-value intimacy isn't about adding more. It's about removing the obstacles. Why don't you hear this from your favorite influencers? Because talking about the mental load and responsive desire isn't necessarily sexy. It doesn't sell quick-fix kits. It requires communication and, frankly, some boring work on boundaries and housework. But here is why this matters for you. When you stop performing and start communicating the science of your own body to your partner, the dynamic shifts from "what's wrong with you" to "how do we fix the environment?" That shift is where true intimacy lives. It's where the invisible barrier finally starts to crumble. We have to address the safety-first principle of the female brain. Biologically, the female system is wired to scan for safety before it allows for vulnerability. In our modern world, danger isn't a saber-toothed tiger. It's an overflowing inbox, a sink full of dishes, or the feeling that you aren't being heard. When these things pile up, your brain labels your environment as high alert. You cannot expect your body to open up when your brain is shouting, "Alert!" This is why foreplay doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts when your partner takes a load off your shoulders at 2 p.m. It starts when you give yourself permission to rest. So, how do we actually apply this? I'm going to give you 3 steps that most people think are too simple to work, but they are backed by clinical psychology. Step 1 is the brain dump. Before you even think about intimacy, take 5 minutes to write down everything stressing you out. Get it out of your head and onto paper. You're telling your brain that you see these tasks and you won't forget them, but it can stand down for now. This physically lowers your internal brake pressure. Step 2 is redefining success. Stop aiming for a movie moment and start aiming for simple connection. Sometimes that is just a 20-second hug. Science shows that a 20-second hug releases enough oxytocin to lower your blood pressure and signal safety to the brain. Don't underestimate the power of small, non-demanding physical touch to reset your nervous system. Step 3 is the responsive experiment. Talk to your partner about responsive desire. Let them know that just because you aren't in the mood at 9 o'clock doesn't mean you won't be at 9:15 if the environment is right. It removes the pressure from both of you. When you take the demand out of the equation, you often find that desire has the space to actually show up. We've been sold a version of female intimacy that is shallow, performative, and, to be honest, exhausting. But the truth is, your body isn't a mystery, and it certainly isn't broken. It is a finely tuned instrument that prioritizes safety and emotional regulation above all else. When you respect that, everything changes. If this video helped you feel a little less alone and a little more understood, please hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that these honest, essential conversations deserve to be seen by more people. I want to hear from you in the comments. Did you know about responsive desire? Or have you been living under the pressure of the spontaneous myth? Let's start a respectful conversation below. If you want to know more about the psychology of high-value relationships and how to protect your energy, you'll want to watch my next video on the communication paradox. I'm Lena. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.